What's with all the NotAllMening here? Every day. Every goddamn day. There are multiple posts about women being abused by men. I was just raped. I think I was sawed. My friend's husband just sexually harassed me. I don't feel safe walking down the street anymore, and so on and so on. But when there's a thread about comparing men and women in some capacity, the NotAllMeners come out in force. Are these the same people? Or are they just waiting in the wings for the right time to pounce? There was a post not too long ago, I think it was in this sub, about all the incels who lurk here and some who even mod. It can't be all women who are defending men so vehemently when there are so many stories of abuse at the hands of men. I realize internalized misogyny is a strong force, but still, something seems off. The proportions are wrong. We know it's not all men. It's just like saying not all mushrooms when someone gets poisoned. Completely useless and derailing. Women have been conditioned to care too much about male feelings. Wouldn't want to offend one of the good ones while discussing our oppression. Now would we? The solution is to just stop. I never say not all men. Any man who gives half a fuck about women's rights knows we don't mean all men. And any man who insists that we say not all men is not an ally anyway. I work with victims of crime. 90 of my victims are women who suffered domestic abuse, sexual assault, or loved ones of women who were killed by their partner. If there were no men, I would not have a job. I used to be the "I'm not feminist, I'm a humanist" type of girl, but working in the court system, that has changed. It radicalized me to no end against men. I still have 10 of my caseload who are men and I help them. But the proportions of male on female crime versus the rest is clearly very high. My friend was permanently banned from Reddit for saying that one specific gender prevails in paraphilia, lacks emotional intelligence and empathy. This statement is based on scientific research and statistics BTW. The cause of ban hate towards the vulnerable group. So, now my friend always adds not all males because she doesn't want to be banned. It's not the same people. For the most part, I don't think. Remember, this is an open sub. Anyone can come in here. Some people specifically lurk just to downvote the former posts and protest troll on the latter. Ya know? A woman was recently assaulted for rejecting a man, and 19 I think men were there to witness it, and not one stepped in. Do not tell me not all men. When you have one bad man hitting a woman in the head with a brick because his sensitive lil soul couldn't handle hearing no, and Nintendo men stand around doing nothing? You have 20 bad men. So my response to the not ask men nonsense is too fucking many men. You know damn well all 19 of those men think they're good men just because they didn't hit her. My response now to not all men is, and men just watch it happen and do nothing. Not telling their homies that they're behaving like assholes is part of why they think it's okay. Because men can't stand the idea that they are part of the problem and play that card to distance themselves from it. I had a very upvoted post, even got a reward about why I'm exclusively dating women, and it was mod removed even though it was a woman's perspective and talking about my fears of patriarchy when it comes to dating men and why I've given up. So I know for a fact that there are men modding this subreddit. It got unbanned, so IDK, what's up with the mods? Shrug. My last not all men interaction was very typical. I replied to a post with a similar experience to a man came to reply about how sorry he was that I had experienced that, but that it's not all men. I replied and asked why they come here and say that. He replied, oh, so it's all men? He started getting angry. I told him there was no need to get so emotional about it. He had a meltdown and told me to fuck off, stupid bitch. Not surprised. They join this sub to gain insight about women. But when presented with the actual insight, they get butt hurt. Infiltrated men in the sub. A lot of trolls flocking here recently. Especially since the red pill shit took off. This is one of the few spaces on the internet where I do get surprised when I see men in the comments derailing the conversation, because it used to be one of the few areas they would not come to. Mods have stated it breaks rules for Sue report. Downvote. Block and move on. They just want attention. Don't give it to them. Of course, it's not all women who are saying it. Men can post comment here, too. And they like nothing more than to invalidate our lived experiences. Not all men. But too many men. Men on this app hate that we have our own space. If it's not them, it's pick-me's or a caveat phrase to ensure you're not banned. I said what I said. It's the inability to read a scenario and not center it around themselves. Alt accounts probably downvote them and try to forget. Sadly, this is not going away. Some misogynists lurk on this sub, others burst into a rage when posts here hit the front page. In the case of Not All Men specifically, I think the odds are strong that yes, them specifically, and a hit dog got a holler. This again expressionless guys. Yes, it's not all men. But when more men are an issue than the good few, it's simply rounding up. If you are genuinely not an asshole, then you're not included in the all men statement. Take peace in that and don't trip on your ego. They are definitely waiting in the wings to make those comments. I have no idea why, except that they want attention or trying to make the convo about them somehow. Selfishness? Lack of empathy? Probably people who are anti-feminist lurking on any sub about women and women's issues, waiting to say it. It's the same with Black Lives Matter. It's idiots either willfully and deliberately not understanding what is actually meant by the slogan, or they're really just dumb enough and think it literally means literally every man ever born. There's only so far you can go with nuance in political slogans. Either way, if they can't or won't get it, better to ban them. Perma-banning them would be nice. Them and all the rake allies just here to learn how to mask and then prey on a vulnerable woman. It's just to invalidate us. One killer of women who are black men. Obviously not all men, but they're not intelligent enough to come up with a counter-argument, mostly because there isn't one when it comes to innocent people being murdered, or they want to derail the conversation. They don't want to be an ally or even a person, they just want to drag everyone else into their sad pit and get mad and threaten violence when no one is interested. Insecure men derailing the conversation. Everyone knows it's not all men. That doesn't help us deal with the some men that are doing this shit though. There is a group of guys that need to learn that not every conversation is directed to them or about them. I think they are triggered. These men have either thought about it and not done it and somehow want credit for suppressing their urges, or they have done something nearly as bad or equally as bad and want to deny who they really are. It's clearly touching a nerve. Or why else do they feel the need to yell not all men? It's not all men until they talk to their daughters and tell them the exact same things we are saying. It changed depending on whether they give a shit about the woman in question or are just trying to protect their own access to women. So to not all man. Fuck you, you massive disingenuous piece of shit. I keep scrolling past a bunch of deleted, removed posts. Are they all of the NotAllMening comments? I like to say it might not be all men, but it sure as shit is enough men for us to be very valid in our statements and opinions. At this point, it's a dog whistle. It's a stupid tactic to derail the conversation. We honestly need to stop saying it BC by doing so. We are again placing men's emotions above us. It's been a thing for a while now.